What happens if I told you that luxury storage can make you more money than any of your apartment units or any of your Airbnbs or, any rental investment that I've ever even owned? No, seriously. I've owned many different things, 8plexes to duplexes to single family homes to 24 unit apartment complexes, some economies of scale, lots of different types of things that I've always been told that, hey, they're going to make money because it's real estate and it should cash flow, right? Wrong. No, I'm telling you, the biggest thing that I've learned probably is that boring makes the most money. And I'm going to go through this video exactly step by step on how much money you can make if you were to get super interested into luxury storage like I am. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Mark Kuhn. I am a real estate developer, connoisseur in construction. Been into it for 15 years. I've also done lots of different developments in this niche called luxury storage. Now, I've done many different forms of real estate, but I've found that boring makes the most money. And this is coming from all my experiences in all the different asset classes that I've owned. And what I really want to make sure that you understand by the end of this video is that you know that luxury storage will make you the most money, or that it's a niche that no one else is doing. Because remember when Airbnbs got fired up, right? Like what happened? Well, everyone entered into the market and everyone got into this niche asset class that boomed in 2020, 2021, 2022, COVID. Everyone was traveling, right? Because everyone had time in their hands. Well, what's happening to those markets now? Well, guess what? People aren't, I'm speaking to you on a guy that owns an Airbnb in Scottsdale. I've seen what's happened. Now everyone is back to work. Everyone is busy again. Everyone needs to work, make money. Are we in a recession? Are we not? What is the economic times? And now all of this, I have an entire portfolio of 20 different properties, and I get to see the data from each one and how they perform in different markets at different situations, in different economic levels. And I can tell you, it all comes down to the most boring ones that I own. They're literally tin cans, have a garage door, they're heated, 2 lights and an outlet, and they perform the best in my portfolio, no matter if it's good economic times or bad economic times. I really don't care. I don't care where the interest rates are. I don't care any of that. I'm getting these to work and pencil, and my investors also love them as well. Let's get right into exactly why I think you should get into luxury storage. All right, before we get into how much they make, what is luxury storage and why is it so popular right now? Well, if you look in the back into history of how many jobs are created in the US, you're going to see about 3.5 to 4 million really are new, let's just say new LLCs getting formed, new businesses getting formed in the United States. Well, since COVID, everyone wants to work on their own. Everyone wants to work on their own time. People were quitting their jobs. What happened? Well, a boom of new businesses. Since 2020, there's been about 5 to 6 million new businesses created every single year. And that trend is going to continue as we keep going into the marketplace. So what has luxury storage created? Well, it's really that niche between self-storage and maybe like small industrial flex business, right? Like your small industrial bays that have bathrooms and maybe a couple $1,000 a month for 2,000 square feet to, maybe you just rent a 10 by 20 for your business and you run it mainly out of your garage. That's fine. We run in the gray area. We're about 1,000 square feet, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. But on average, about 1,000 square feet of space. You guys can rent this. It's climate controlled. It's 2 lights and an outlet. And it's very simple, right? It's just another space. There's no bathrooms in it. It's not a retail front. This is not a place to, it's not going to replace a strip mall by any means. But luxury storage suits a lot of new contractors because a lot of contractors, I've been in the contracting space for 15 years. People are wanting to dip out and go on their own. What don't they want to do though? They don't want to increase their overhead and go rent that $2,000-$3,000 spots, have to pay utilities and taxes and all the other things. They just need a really cheap spot, and they can't really operate out of normal source self-storage complex because they've gotten so compact, so tight, and so efficient that you really can't operate out of one of those. So what do? We have fit the niche of luxury storage where we're providing larger bay storage only. We're not mixing 5x5s with 18x50s. We're not doing that. We're suiting maybe you have a bunch of Turo cars and you need to park them in there. We see many different uses. Maybe you have a small Amazon warehouse and you need to supply pallets and you need to keep a forklift in somewhere. That's what our units suit. It's climate controlled, it's dry. And like I said, it's very simple, but it also is very affordable where you can rent for 30 days. So we lean into the self-storage model where 30-day rental is a true thing. And that's very unlike a light industrial flex space where you have to rent for 1, 2, 3, maybe even 5-year leases to really get into those. So we allow the units to move in and out every 30 days. That means you can rent the unit beside. If it's available, you can rent another unit. And if not, you don't have to. So just that is what luxury storage is. We're fitting a niche right between self-storage and industrial flex space. And we're creating a large enough space where small businesses can actually operate out of. All right, let's dive into the numbers because that's why we're all here. Now, a typical self-storage or luxury storage unit can rent anywhere from $500 to $1,500 a month. And that includes all the utilities and it includes everything because we let people pay with their credit card because we're not looking to do 1-year leases. We're month to month. We let them pay with their credit cards. They can earn their points. We don't care. We'll put it into the fee so we know we make the amount of money that we need to. But let's say you have $500 to $1,500. That's potentially on a normal self-storage facility. That's potentially $25,000 to $75,000 a month in overall revenue. Now, we can take the average and say, hey, this facility creates about $50,000 a month. That's usually our minimum is what we typically hit for an institutional quality product. And why I want institutional quality products is because I will get the most money when I sell the facility. So you want to be interested because when it comes to exit strategy, you always want to think the end in any real estate project. You always want to think about the end and work backwards from there, right? Figure out what people want to buy and then build that. And I found the most simple product that I could build in luxury storage that is not overbuilt like the self-storage industry is. So if you can make potentially $50,000 a month, let's go into what does the expenses look like in that side of things? Because great, we're not clearing $50,000 a month, right? Of course, we got things like utilities. You're going to have to do common area maintenance. You're going to have to pay the insurance. You're going to have to pay property taxes, the biggest one, because storage takes a lot of land to do it. It's going to pay a lot of property taxes. And so on and so forth, right? And since we're climate controlled, utilities will be a little bit higher than normal. And so if you were to take the average of the self-storage industry and it would run on an expense ratio, they would say 31%. So what does that mean? That means of the $50,000, 31% of that would just strictly go right to expenses. And so if you do that, your remainder that's left over, that's where you pay your debt. Really, that's the part of it that you have to cover your debt. So when you minus, you got your total net revenue, your 31 or 35 to 35% expenses, then you got your debt. That's going to give you your cash flow, right? That would be normal. But what I've found out that we are able to produce these assets with a higher cap rate, meaning that we can supply higher amounts of debt at high interest debt, meaning the debt isn't affecting us. If we're coming in at a cap rate of 7 to 8%, well, geez, when we're borrowing debt at 7%, it sure makes it more feasible than when you're talking multifamily. Usually your cap rates are in the 6.5. When you're borrowing debt at 7%, now you're at negative leverage right out of the gate. Developers will bake in negative cash flow to cover, to hopefully in 5 years that asset class actually covers its own debt, meaning there's negative cash flow every month, meaning when we're talking about that that top revenue number of 50,000, their expenses and their debt is usually more than the total revenue. So if that property loses in multifamily $50,000 a month, they're baking that into the overall project and they're hoping at some point it'll come out of that. And that's what will pay down the debts. That's how tight the multifamily real estate market is. And even the self-storage industry is getting the same way. People are baking in negative leverage because what's happening? Occupancies are lower. Revenue, so much competition in the markets right now. You're getting rents to drop. And so all these things are happening at the same time. Well, it's costing more to build. Almost, I would say 35% more is what we've seen over the last 5 years. That's a crazy amount. And I find every piece of how we can value engineer something, and without making it smaller, it's really about a 35% price increase. So in luxury storage, we've been able to come in at a higher yield on cost or cap rate, meaning we're not negatively leveraged right away. Is cash flow, super extensive? No, it's not going to be super extensive because interest rates are still high, but we're not negatively cash flowing it. We don't need to bake in extra money just to make the project work. That's why I love luxury storage. So that's why we're making it work. And that's why our investors love making it work. If we just did everything for cash flow, no one would invest at any point right now. The family offices are investing in real estate because they know where the market's going to be going in 5 years. They're not investing for today, hoping that the cash flow rides them out, right? If you're investing for just cash flow purposes, you might as well just turn this off and shut off developing real estate or even buying real estate. You're not going to find the cash flow to replace your job's income. I'm sorry to say that, but it's just not going to happen. What you really want to do is create in 5 years, can I create enough yield, meaning can I produce at cap rates high enough where I can then sell them at a compressed cap rate of 6 to 6.5%. So obviously lower cap rates, higher valuations, and minimizes risk. So if you're here to create a bunch of wealth for yourself, well then stay tuned. I'm going to keep going through more of this. All right, I'm going to run you through one of our projects that we've just developed, and we're about 50% completion through the construction phase already. But here are some of the numbers behind it. It's about a $9.7 million project. We got about $7.2 million of debt on the project, leaving about $2.5 million that we needed to fund. We were able to fund it very fast. In my case, because I talk about luxury storage a lot and it's a great investment. And I think that investors are starting to figure that out. I get plenty of people copycatting what I'm doing, which is awesome to see. And I think it is a niche that's going to grow in the markets. And it really creates a demand that is in the grayscale between the two asset classes I explained earlier. But so we have potentially a $9.7 million project. It is no slouch of a project, right? This is a large development. This has over 109,000 square feet of storage space. It's specifically in the luxury storage space, but where do you place a project like this? How do you make sure the demand is going to be there in the future? Because we use a program called Radius Plus for all our demographics, how many building permits are coming, how much per square foot per capita. Now, some of these metrics can be a little skewed, even though the self-storage industry has way too many, way too many units on the supply side. That means that it doesn't necessarily mean that luxury storage necessarily has that many units, right? Because we've created a whole new product type that wasn't even offered in the marketplace. So it's really hard for us to tell you exactly what's a great market, what's not a great market. But we place this along a high visibility. I-90 is a high visibility place in South Dakota. That's where this facility lives. And guess what? There's an on-ramp very close to it. You want to be easily accessed, you want it to be easily exposed, and you want it to be marketed well. You want it to look like a Class A asset. What does a Class A asset look like? Go buy some nice apartments and go buy some Class C apartments, right? Like you can just see the difference. We are creating a Class A environment. So when you pull up to the facility, it's got to be gated. It's got to have security. It's got to be clean, nice looking, right? Like it's got to have some features, not just super, we're going to call them dressed up tin cans, right? It has to have a little extra features, maybe nice landscaping, things like that make the facility really, really kick. And if you create a facility like this, I promise you there's going to be demand. Not in every market, but go outside premium markets, right? Like this one isn't even in a primary market. It's actually in a suburb market of where the facility is growing, but that's where we found the facility. Remember, luxury storage facilities live on one level. Can't be stacking. It's really hard to park a camper on the second story. Or it's really hard to run out of business out of second story if you can't get a FedEx van close to it, right? So With these types of facilities, remember, it's a different type of demand. We're not going to the very urban areas of a town to try to sell them parking or something else, because we need area to build these luxury storage facilities and create demands outside. The businesses typically don't live in the urban areas. They typically live in your suburbs. And most people enjoy, since COVID, love living in the suburbs, driving to the city to work. And that's the way the small businesses live. And that's where all they're growing to. So we are building our facilities strategically right outside the main city in growing markets. And that's where you're going to want to start looking for land if you want to create or develop your own facilities. But again, you don't want to create something smaller than a $50,000 top line revenue. So you want to look at areas, if you have 50 units that are $1,000 a unit, or maybe 1,000 square feet or 1,200 square feet, then you're going to want to look in areas where you can have enough acreage. You don't want to just build one facility on 1 acre, 12,000. Your exit strategy is going to be very minimal, and it's going to be more risky, and you're not going to get that compressed cap rate by exiting when you just have a small facility like that. There's no economies of scale, right? It'll be a great asset to own for 30 years if you want to keep it for that long. And if you own the land, that's great. But you're really going to want to find something 5 to 10 acres and really develop something special. That way you can exit it later. Are you ready to learn more about luxury storage? Have I given you everything you need to know, but not really everything you need to know? If you're interested in developing this in your market, so are we. And we are partnering up with strategic partners all over the United States to bring these to your market. We can't be everywhere all at once, but if we have a great partner that has many great connections, and if you want to, make sure you watch my other video on luxury storage. This will tell you exactly how we vet our partners and how you can become a partner of ours in a special market. Maybe you have a great market that would suit this type of asset type. We want to help you, and we want to be a part of it as well. So if you want our help, please make sure that you comment below. What do you love about luxury storage? That way we start the comments below. How is luxury storage different, and why do you think it's good, right? I don't want to just know luxury storage. I want to know how you think this asset type is a little bit different and why you think it would suit your market. So comment down below. That way we can connect. And also like, subscribe, share this with somebody. Maybe you're a developer yourself. Maybe you think it would be worth working with us. Maybe you can do this yourself. That's fine. I don't care. But like, subscribe, share it. Guys, it's the most, I try to provide this kind of content to help you, as well as find great partnership leads. So I hope you guys enjoy it. If anything, like, subscribe, share. Appreciate you.